Hello and welcome to the North Bank podcast, where as ever I'm joined by two cheery chaps, Stef and Chris. Hi guys.
Hello.
All right.
So look, as good as the City game was and how much we enjoyed racing to our laptops to record a post-match reacto pod for that game, I think has been balanced out by how reluctant we were to jump on board and talk about what we've just witnessed, well, tonight, but also a month ago in the first game. 4-0 defeat on aggregate. I can't imagine there's many Arsenal fans who envisaged that happening when the draw was made. In fact, out of the other teams in that semi-final draw, Spurs and Liverpool, I think Arsenal fans were quite happy to get the draw that we got, possibly. But as it's transpired, not great. So where should we start? Team news. We pretty much nailed the team. I think Steph, me and you had Calafiori to start at left back. I think, did we not? I thought we did. I think I did. I did. I had Calafiori to start at left back, more to give Lewis Skelly a rest, I guess. Chris, you didn't. Oh, you did put your team in. Who did you have? I think you had Lewis Skelly to start at left back, didn't you?
I think so. Yeah. It seems like such a long time ago. The only thing I'm clinging on to is the fact that my voice is still wrecked from Sunday, and that sort of gives me a sense of,
Shall we just talk about the City game again?
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, team, he went strong. I mean, he was always going to go strong. And we were, I think, probably in agreement that keep it tight to begin with and let the game, we expected them to come at us. They were nervy, as in the fan base were nervy in the approach to kickoff. They've lost their last two home games, possibly with an eye on tonight. And we demolished Man City at the weekend, and I think that was preying on their mind. So keep it tight, and getting the first goal was critical, but keeping it tight and let them blow themselves out a little bit, perhaps. And as I was tutoring for the first 30 minutes of the game, I clicked onto BBC, and after about 4 or 5 minutes, and it was 1-0 to Newcastle already. And I laboured under that misapprehension for about 5 minutes before realising the goal had been disallowed, by which point they nearly scored properly. But so look, Chris, did you see the beginning of the game?
No, I didn't.
Right,
I missed
so
the first
Steph,
10 minutes. So
yeah. So how did we start then? So we played the right team. Did we have the wrong tactics?
100%. We absolutely approached the game in completely the wrong way, in the sense that there was still a cup tie with time to navigate, and also there's this negligence to adapt to the opposition. You're playing away from home against a vociferous crowd, against a team who like to counterpunch. So what you don't do is pile everyone forward in desperation, like it's the final minute and you're chasing a winner, to leave the back door open. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was arrogant. I thought it was naive. And what it meant was that Newcastle were able to isolate the two centre-backs. They essentially played Gordon and Isak as a front two. So the ball went over on any transition that we had, or that they had on us, and were very direct, and it preyed on our two centre-backs. We played with a high line. It was absolutely suicidal, and I could not believe it. Like you said, the phrase was, keep it tight. You can't win the tie in the first 20 minutes, but you can bloody well lose it, and that's exactly what we did. It was pathetic, to be honest. And sorry to just call back on one thing. I think you referenced in the preview when we were talking to the Grove guys as well, that the blueprint was 1989, Anfield. We had to go score 2 goals at the best team in the country, and George Graham went defensive first half. Don't concede, whatever you do, because they'll start to relax. They'll start to think the job's done, and then we'll see where we go. Well, we didn't do any of that. We were arrogant. We thought, okay, what we'll do, we'll just get forward because we're really good. We'll pass it around. And boy, yeah, sure, we did create chances, and that's good. But it's the story of our season where those chances aren't taken. And the first game was ridiculous. It was one of those XG buster bloody games where we had all the chances in the world and we could have played for 2 weeks and still not scored. Well, a month later and nothing has really changed. And this is after the transfer window as well. So there's going to be a huge amount of negativity because of the way they've approached the game, the way they've approached the transfer market. Just really, I feel really sour. But here's the other thing. Sorry. Someone I know basically didn't enjoy or was reluctant to enjoy the Man City win because, I mean, look, they're an Arteta out. Cards on the table, they're an Arteta out. And I just thought, well, do you know what? If I'd been so annoyed as if to say, oh, it's all well and good celebrating the City game, but, we're not going to win the league, and they were there for the taking. Well, I wouldn't have had half as much fun this week. That was a brilliant win in isolation. But you're doing that at home, and you're up for the fight. You're playing a team that you really want to get one over. Well, that's Newcastle against us. So don't just turn up thinking like it's going to be, okay, we'll just play on the front foot and we'll attack, and then eventually we'll break down. They're going to plan for that. They're going to sit back, hit us on the counter, direct, with two players who are having really good seasons in Gordon and Isak, and we shit ourselves. Rubbish.
Obviously, Arteta's tactics. Why do you think he sets out like that? I mean, is it possibly because, I even said it during the Man City game. We seemed to be playing in that game. We went 1-0 up, kind of fortuitously, perhaps a little bit in the second minute. But then we just sat back and we almost played with the handbrake on. I used to employ the Wengerism. And I was like, well, why aren't we? They're there for the taking. Why aren't we going for it? So do you think Arteta had the idea that, look, before we started recording, I said to Chris that tonight's game was the game I thought would happen straight after the first leg. But because of what's happened in the intervening month, i.e. our most recent form, our performance against Man City, because they've lost their last two home games in the league, I felt it would be a different game. I felt that we possibly had a bit more hope in realistically getting some kind of more positive outcome or positive result at least out of the game. Do you think I'm saying I would have sat back and played a far more safety first approach? Exactly as you say, you can't win the game in the first 10 minutes when you go into the game 2-0 down, but you can certainly lose it, which is what we did. So I think keeping it tight, the blueprint from Anfield 89, absolutely. But I'm just trying to understand why Arteta might have had a completely different approach. Arrogance, naivety, stubbornness, or was he playing the emotion, like the follow-on, like picking the same team that started against Man City?
Maybe. And we've also now, that's 3 games against Newcastle this season, and all with roughly the same result. And so to not change things in some way. Chris, you said a really interesting thing in our WhatsApp group during the game, in the sense that we should be inviting them onto us because that will create the space in behind. They did rope-a-dope. It was Muhammad Ali. We'll sit back, we'll take all your punches and your blows, and then bang, we'll knock you out. It was just
Have we got anyone to take advantage of that? Is Martinelli our only? We haven't got an Isak.
Well, we don't really. Havertz had one opportunity where Raya had picked him out with one of his long, raking kicks, and he doesn't have the pace to get away from. So really, no, we don't have the right profile to. Martinelli had a hamstring, didn't he? I think in this game, so he would have been the speedy outlet. But yeah, referring back to what you said, Steph, I think it's to have been stung twice before by them in a similar manner. You really don't want them to get ahead. Otherwise, that's exactly what they want. They'll just sit deep, and then you're just playing everything in front of them. I think we were near 70% possession, meant nothing.
what?
They were controlling the game, and I'm sure Arteta will come out and say something regarding that. We had the ball and we did this and we did that. Well, the one stat that matters, we didn't achieve.
Okay, but we should have gone 1-0 up.
With Ødegaard.
Yeah.
Well, he needs to finish better.
Yeah. Did you see Trossard? Did you see the replay from the other end? So you could see Trossard. Trossard actually air kicked the ball to mimic the kick that Ødegaard was taking, and I couldn't believe that Ødegaard had missed it. And they were, I think Shay Given in the studio was talking about how the ball was spinning, and that spin, it was really spinning before he hit it, and that spin and the contact just took it. And is that luck, bad finishing? He hit the post and it went out. Isak hit the crossbar, but then it rebounded straight to Murphy. But his shot even hit the post, but went in. It was just like, it's such fine margins.
Right, so then there's a difference between what is an event and what is a trend over time. Okay, you can miss a chance, but if the trend over time is that you're missing a hell of a lot of chances, well, then it's a problem, and we've got a problem there.
It's an odd one though, because Ødegaard is quite a clinical finisher.
No, he isn't. I'm not sure
he has been.
He has been.
That's what I mean. It's this season he has not. Absolutely, of course he hasn't. He's got 1 goal from open play in like 28 matches or something like that, and he plays most of the minutes in those matches. That's not an Eddie Nketiah stat where he's come on for 5 minutes at the end of a game, but he has been a clinical finisher. So is it new baby syndrome? Is he lacking sleep at night? I don't know. Or he's just like, it's.
I think he's lacking food. Have you seen the pictures of how gaunt he looks?
He does look very gaunt. Do you know what?
That's where the transfer budget's going. It should go on feeding him.
I thought that. I thought he was looking very skeletal even after the City game when he was happy.
Maybe he's trying to. It's a what is it? A physical metaphor of down to the bare bones.
I think what you should do is go to Dubai, leave the baby at home, and go to Salt Bay's restaurant in Dubai and be force fed off of that guy's. When he does that tricky thing off of his salt. Yeah. Just feed him some protein and beef him up a bit. Yeah. But they do look a bit. I think they probably left a lot on the pitch. Everyone was saying how this was the opportunity to leave it all on the pitch because they've got a 10-day break. I actually think they left an awful lot in the City game, and maybe there was just not enough left in the tank tonight.
So make some changes.
Maybe
like don't start the same 11. 3 days later, emotionally they were drained, let alone physically after the City game. That was, you could tell from as much as like Stef has been waiting for the City game since the first City game. Well, so too had the players quite clearly.
What changes can he make in a sense that will make a difference? I mean, Calafiori starting.
Yeah, Calafiori starting. Nwaneri could have started. Nwaneri's the far superior right-sided player. He's the best behind Saka. He should be playing every game at right side of that front three when Saka's not involved.
I wonder about Jorginho because, but again, it all comes down to we knew how Newcastle were going to play, and rather than think about how can we stop that, it was all about we need to score goals, so we just need to pile people forward, which was rubbish, because then all Newcastle are going to do to counter that is they bypass the midfield. Partey was an observer, of the game, where he was excellent against Manchester City, because everything's funneled through central channels and it's all about interpassing, and if he can interrupt that and then start our own, it's great. Well, Newcastle were just like, nope. We'll transition the ball and then a little chip in a diagonal or into a channel, and Isak and Gordon are on it, and your centre-backs are basically just crapping themselves, like scrambling back, and their heads were scrambled. Well, we needed another player to do that. We needed to sit maybe 10, 15 yards further back. We needed to have Jorginho and Rice sort of sitting and looking to play the balls from a better foundation in order to get other players on the ball. And then maybe that would invite people out. Might be boring for 40 minutes in the first half. But so what? You're not out of the tie. You're not 3 down instead of the 2 that we were. And then you can still, we've had a whole season, maybe even a year and a half, built on the fine margin chances. We went for volume of chances instead of quality chances, and didn't pay off.
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky to be only 3 down because that offside was marginal. I mean, it really was.
Can we talk about the new ways in which football continues to try and depress me with the whole process of the referee talking to us and giving us no insight whatsoever into anything at all? Because it's insightful. If the referee can come over the mic and speak over the tannoy, it's insightful if he's the one who's made the decision. This was an offside call that was ignored by the linesman, rightly so, because it's a marginal call, and he let it play on, and Isak buried it, by the way.
I know. Very great.
Of course, you know.
Like,
but then it goes to a bloke who is, 300 miles away in a little cabin somewhere in, West London.
Forest.
Who then goes, yep, we've drawn a line. It's offside. So the referee comes on and goes, guess what, guys? He's drawn the line. It's offside. We know. I mean, what? Everyone's had to wait longer, and then you've had to say that. I mean, talk about it. We chanted "It's all about you" at Michael Oliver. That was the most all about you thing, and it just.
I mean, that's not even the referee's fault.
That's not the referee's fault. Exactly. Yeah, he's been put in that situation. Yeah. I mean, it just was a farce.
Yeah.
The whole
it's different
thing was a
if
farce.
if it was like a penalty, not penalty, red card, not red card, then
the penalty has been awarded because we've adjudged, him, and the VAR. Yeah. And even then, why are we not just hearing that conversation? You do it with the TMO in rugby. You do it with whoever the cricket version of it is. It's just so ridiculous, and it just made me. We'd gone a goal down, but the whole process. I should have been cheering and going way because we've been let off, but actually, it was a marginal call, and it probably was what was it, an armpit hair or something offside, and fine, that one should be a slightly more binary position, but just. Honestly, it's killjoy. If you're a Newcastle fan, you might even hesitate celebrating scoring the goal because you're waiting for the check. The whole thing stinks.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a sort of faux transparency almost with this referee on the mic. That's how it feels. Yeah.
For a decision like the offside, it's unnecessary. You don't need it because we know what offside is, and we know why it's been given. We can see the line. It's like. That's all they need to do. All they need to do is put on the screen, if they want that transparency, put on the screens in the ground, the line and the player, and there you go.
Which would be slightly ironic at Newcastle, because they have one screen, which is just up. You're in the gods at the away end, and there's only one side. So most of the home fans wouldn't even see that. So it wouldn't even appease them. All it would do is make the away fans go, whoa. Oh.
Do you want to... whilst we have a little kind of segue into something else that might annoy you about football at the moment or depress you about football at the moment, did you hear that the FA are looking into
player celebrations?
I mean, what is good is the universal response to that has been pretty consistent. It's WTF in the hell is going on?
Cleaning the taps while the Titanic sinks. That's what it's doing. It is just a joke. What made me really laugh, Billy Carpenter, the Arsenal tactics guy online, he posted a shrug the shoulders thing, and then he said, and then he quote tweeted someone who was reporting that Newcastle fans were chanting against Arteta or something like that, and he said, by the way, this chant hurts my feelings. Are the FA going to look at it?
It must be the ball, I think. That's what they were saying. It must be the ball.
I mean, look, if we're booking celebrations, and the thing is, that all the things they cited, whether it was Lewis Skelly's one, winding up Haaland, whether it was Vardy winding up the Spurs fans, whether it was was it Ndiaye and the seagull thing.
Yeah.
No one wants to see a yellow card for that. No one. We never wanted to see yellow cards when a player took his shirt off. We never wanted to see a yellow card when a player jumped in with his own fans celebrating.
No, it's great. That's why you play football.
That is administration. It's wanting to get these bloody sponsors on the telly at the time that the cameras are most focused on them. It's all cynical stuff. And it's It's just nonsense. Oh, and by the way, the guy behind it, Tony Scholes, former sporting director at Stoke City. Just saying, just putting that out there.
I wonder, was he one of the Stoke City fans who would boo Ramsey every time he went there?
Because he had his leg broken by one of the
temerity, yeah.
Like, wow. But no mention of Phil Foden doing his shooting celebration.
I think that was cited in one or two of the reports. But
I didn't see that because I saw the other ones, but I didn't see the Foden one.
It doesn't matter. Not particularly.
He's killing people, Steph. He's killing imaginary people.
All of this admin and bureaucracy is killing me and my enjoyment of football. It's rubbish.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And I must admit, like, just on the celebrations, I'm really enjoying how triggered Man City as a football club are, and certain other broadcasters who should know a lot better, i.e. Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher.
Did you see Cundy and talk?
Oh yeah, like he should have his leg broken. Like,
oh my God, I could not believe that. What a donut.
By an 18-year-old. An 18-year-old celebration. Like, it's so funny. Like, it's funny because you have to view it as funny, because if you don't view it as funny, it'll eat you up inside and it'll destroy your soul and you'll be a miserable old man shouting at clouds. And
this is why. Look, tonight is painful. And it's painful because we choked and we were rubbish, and I get that, okay? But Sunday was brilliant because we beat a team. And that's the point of football. If you're only in it for the destination, like, what's the point? Like, you've got to have the enjoyment along the way. Otherwise, what's the point? And it's one of those things. Look, if Tottenham, do manage to retain their lead and beat Liverpool and make it to the Carabao Cup final, I'll be hoping that Newcastle are absolutely celebrating their destination that they've reached. But you can also bet that they're bloody enjoying tonight as well. Like, that's what it's about, surely. Celebrate.
What if Liverpool get through? Who you rooting for in the final?
Liverpool all day long, because they've won trophies recently, and I don't care. Yeah. And Newcastle are very, very dislikable.
Careful.
Manager, dislikable. Assistant manager, dislikable. If your assistant manager is known to the football world and people don't like him, that's not a good sign. Players, dislikable, except Willock and Murphy and Isak. That's it. And then fans, dislikable. Owners, boy, are they dislikable. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
And yeah, thanks for the chat, boys. Let's leave it there. Let's call it a day.
10 days in Dubai, is it? Yeah.
Chris, I know you were tongue in cheek when you messaged it, but in the WhatsApp group, you were positing the theory that maybe some of the Arsenal players were already on the plane.
Yeah, Ben White's already there. He's already on the sunbed.
Okay. Yeah. He's pouring
he's put his towel by the pool. He's ready. Yeah, but no, I think there's a kind of an awareness that it's there for them and that they need it and they need to recharge. I just think there was not enough left in the tank tonight.
Yeah, and as Steph pointed out, the tactics didn't help either.
No, it's a conflation of all of those.
And that's also similarly, if there's not that much in the tank and you're assuming that they're measuring all these metrics and fitness levels and things like that, well, then actually a defensive game might suit us better, because it was Saliba and Gabriel unable to react and contain against, a front line of Isak and Gordon who ran all day.
They're a lot more mobile and wily than Haaland.
Well, exactly.
Isak is very cute.
It turns out it's much harder to mark an electric pylon that doesn't move compared to, the dynamism of Alexander Isak.
Yeah, okay. Anything else to say about the actual game itself?
Yeah, I'm also annoyed at the head loss as well, because there's ways of losing, and we didn't even do that very well today because we were rattled. The players were clearly rattled. They didn't like Newcastle's strong arm tactics, and you just think, were you not in the last 3 or 4 games against Newcastle? This is what they do, and yet we're biting every time.
Yeah, I thought we'd have a red card. I thought we were going to get a red card.
Yeah, so did I. I thought who did I really think it would be? Was it Trossard?
I thought it'd be Havertz.
But Havertz for the petulant stuff, yeah. But I thought Trossard was certainly sort of
Rice went in
kicking
pretty
out here
hard,
and there.
didn't he?
Yeah, and it's one of those things. But like they should expect this. Havertz is easy to wind up in a similar way that maybe Haaland was from the perspective previously. But we know that they're going to do that. So I don't get why they didn't have an answer for it, because the answer for it is either you don't do anything, you don't bite, you don't say anything, you just focus on your game, or you do the opposite, and it's literally every time there is any niggle, every player's in, and you create such a sort of melee and chaos that actually it becomes a kind of unmanageable thing. But you orchestrate. The point is you take control of the situation. It felt to me like every player was fighting his own individual battles, and it was head loss stuff. And we haven't seen that for a number of years now. The best thing about this team for the last 2 or 3 years is that, yeah, we stand up to the challenges, but it's never fought back in a petulant way, unlike it was tonight. And all it was just disappointment at having lost the game. It was like they put all their eggs in the scoring the first basket, and when it didn't happen, they threw their toys out the pram. So I'm really annoyed about that. It's all on the way we approached the game and dealt with the game as it unfolded.
And I think tiredness will have played its part in that as well. If you know your body's not capable of doing what it usually does in a game, you're fighting yourself.
And emotional,
yeah.
Holly, like you said earlier, the emotional thing is in a way greater, I think, than the physical in that respect, and that you lose your rag and you can't control yourself. Yeah, the emotion of it got to them.
Okay, I think we're kind of done that. Chris, we haven't had a chat with you about the transfer window closing, and just what are your kinds of thoughts? Big mistake, keep your powder dry. Where do you, I mean, we have to process it. We have to kind of justify it in some sense because it's happened. We haven't signed anybody. But what's your thoughts like now?
Well, I suppose there's a few things. Really, the fact that we couldn't loan anyone from the Premier League was frustrating, because I think we probably would have had, say, Ferguson as an option, up front. But we kind of not shot ourselves in the foot, but we didn't have that option. And I think once the Watkins thing didn't come off, they were probably thinking it's that case of like make do with what we've got, and almost like on the back of the 5 goals scored by 5 different goal scorers against City, it was almost like written in the clouds. Well, we're going to stick with what we've got and share the goals around, and we'll just roll the dice on this lot, because they didn't want to upset the apple cart by bringing in someone on a permanent basis that wasn't going to gel or was going to be the wrong fit. So yeah, a loan would have been the best solution really, and we just couldn't make it. So not that I'm happy that we don't have anyone on board, but I kind of understand why they did it.
It's poor management from the summer. I think don't forget Neto. I think, look, Neto was an important acquisition because of what might have happened. So had Raya picked up a bad injury, then we'd need an experienced goalkeeper there. So I'd much rather have Neto come in than Stepford or the other guy, the 16-year-old. So I get that, and so it looks like a bad deal because we've never used him, or we've never had to use him. He's played one game, and not a particularly inspiring game at that. The Sterling was opportunistic. I think, did we get both of them on the last... basically, both of those were signed on the transfer deadline day in the summer. Am I right?
Sterling was certainly the last. I don't know how much sooner.
I think Neto was late.
They were both late.
Yeah, they're both late. Because we'd gone for the Garcia fella and we pursued him all summer, and that didn't come off. And then all of a sudden we'd left ourselves short, having allowed Ramsdale to go to Southampton. So again, poor management, because you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know how, and I had this chat when myself and Steph were on with the boys on the Grove. We would have been all over the Ferguson. I would have been all over the Ferguson on loan for the remainder of the season, because you're not going to, nothing to lose, and he could we're only looking for 3 or 4 goals in those moments. And I get he might come and break down and not play a game because of fitness, but you take that gamble. I mean, West Ham, it'd be really interesting to see how he plays for West Ham. We didn't go for Matthias Tell, which is an interesting one. Again, his record's not fantastic, but he's got a lot of potential. Whether he's not a for now signing for sure, but in
that's what we needed.
Yeah, but in the absence of us getting a for now striker, which we weren't going to get, then just somebody who had the potential to be. I mean, I remember United signing Henrik Larsson in the January transfer window, and didn't he score? Well, they won the Champions League that season.
But he was more plug and play. He was ready to go.
Yeah, but he was 36. So apparently we went for Morata, who's 32. But we were offered him. He'd agreed to come, but we delayed the decision because we were waiting to see what would happen with Duran and Watkins, I think. And by the time that played out, Galatasaray had just kind of demanded him, like they made him feel extremely wanted, and he went there instead. But again, like, you know, he's a for now striker. But yeah, I mean, what can we do? We'll tell you what, we better go big in the summer, because we've basically sacrificed this season by not going big last summer, by just not having a plan B last summer. Sesko or nobody seemed to be the strategy for a striker.
It makes you wonder whether they'll pivot on that, and whether or not Sesko alone is enough in the summer, and whether or not.
No, absolutely. I think we need a left winger and a striker. Absolutely, and that's where the focus should be. We've got the other. Zubimendi in midfield. I mean, assuming he's in, that. The Norwegian guy, the kid, the 18-year-old, would have been a good one to get in the bag now. But the reason did you hear the reason he didn't? It's quite sensible, because he hasn't played for a month, and he looked at probably Arsenal and thought, that's such a goldfish bowl. And he thought, I'm not fit, I'm not match fit, they're going to play me straight away, and I'm not going to be able to perform to my potential because I'm just not match fit. So let me have a few months, and then I'll come in the summer and get the pre-season training in and everything in together. So, you know, him and Zubimendi would cover the midfield, but we'll have spent like 60 plus million between them two, and then we've got a striker and a winger to get. Is, you know, again, not even talking about who we're going to sell. Like, you know, Jorginho's going to go, Partey's going to go. What about Trossard? Zinchenko will be going, but we're covered there. So it's a huge summer, and it didn't need to be a huge summer. It could have been a decent, you know, just like one player here, one player there. But I think any failings of this for this season can be kind of traced back to what we didn't do in the summer. And what we didn't, and as a consequence, what we haven't been able to do in January. I get it. January's a tough window to, like, Football 365 did a feature on when was the last January signing that won the league for the club they signed for. I think the point of the article was there wasn't one. I think Henrik Larsson was the last one. Who so it's not a January signing is not the transformative signing that people assume it is or think it is. But I think for us, the context is slightly different. I think it was just because we are so light. You know, we're a Havertz red card or injury away from...
no recognised striker.
Well, no striker. Like, that's crazy. But...
yeah, like I said, he leaned into and took a risk on them. Obviously, you can't legislate for so many injuries, but the way that they were scoring last year, you know, they've pointed to that often enough and said, you know, look, we've scored X amount of goals, record amount of goals by committee, if you like, and that you just can't. In my opinion, you know, you can't lean into that. You do need someone to take the lion's share. You can't just expect.
And since the summer, we have picked up Nwaneri as a genuine goal threat. So, you know, we're stronger in that sense compared to summer. We obviously lost Saka, though, as a kind of the reason why Nwaneri's had to step up. And the buzz about the place with Miles Lewis-Skelly as well. It's like kind of... we often played, well, as an emotional side, like Liverpool do. And that's not... And that may have fed into his tactics today as well, which clearly were the wrong tactics. But... and he should have known that with the regards to the opposition that was there. Look, finally, did you see on Arsenal... No, not Arsenal.com. Well, there's two things, both relate to Miles Lewis-Skelly, the flavour of the Arsenal month. First of all, he did an interview on Arsenal.com, like a written interview. It's a typed up interview. It's not. I didn't see a video. Stef, what do you think his favourite subjects are at school?
What, PE?
No, English and Spanish.
Hey, English.
Guy's he's a good boy.
Good egg.
He is, absolutely. But then there's a new podcast. I think is it Gabby Logan and oh my God, Mark. What's his name?
Chapman.
The BBC Mark Chapman. And they've done and I've only seen clipped bits of it, and I want to go and find it. No, it's only just before we came on.
They're new Match of the Day presenters, aren't they?
Right, so they do this podcast. It's not a Match of the Day. I don't think it's a BBC podcast. I don't know. It might be a BBC podcast. I'm saying that. But they've done a big chat with his mum, Miles Lewis-Skelly's mother, and it's really good. Like she's comes across really well. Like she said, I'm dyslexic and I have a short attention span, and I think I was aware that he was about to score the goal against Man City, but I'm not sure. He's got the same physique. She said he's got the same physique as Timber, and sometimes I think it's Timber and it's not Miles at all. So it's just like it's refreshing. Well, she put herself through a business degree so that she could manage or advise young players and their parents. And she's got a platform. She was promoting her platform where she's like offers advice to any, because like Miles Lewis-Skelly was offered sponsorship from the age of 12, and she was like, no, go away, like this is too much, I don't want. And so, which is great, because we know my connection with a certain player, and I know that he at 14 was offered a 6-figure boot deal at Arsenal, and like just parents were like, stop it, like this is insane, this is ridiculous, this is not what he's about at 12 and 13 years of age.
You've got to let them have a childhood.
Yes.
To some extent as well.
And enjoy,
enjoy their football first. Yeah,
not have that pressure of sponsorship.
That's probably why he doesn't seem to feel much pressure. But now, 18 doesn't look at all cowed by the... Yeah,
she says he still has to unload the dishwasher and tidy his room, which is just hilarious. But anyway, right, so look, I don't know about you boys, but I'm off to Dubai in the morning, and bit of hot weather. I don't know, it won't be training for me. What would it be? Sipping.
Hot weather suffering for me. Suffering. I don't like the hot weather.
No, nor me, it's true. My Celtic, I melt. Anything above 22, 23 degrees and I'm complaining. Chris is like, what is wrong with you?
Bring it on.
Okay, well, look, we've got a 10-day break. We'll fill it with some fantastic podcasts, I'm sure. Oh, by the way, speaking about sponsorship, if anyone wants to sponsor us, I'm all over it. I'm not going to say no to that. I don't even need 6 figures. I'll take 5, 4, 3. I'll take 3 figures. I don't care. I'll say what you want me to say.
Change that brick wall background into something.
Yeah, look, absolutely. It's every
Space
brick in
hire.
there. Every brick in there is a potential sponsorship brick. I said brick. Okay. On that lovely note, thanks for braving a raw reaction to the Newcastle debacle, and enjoy the next few days Arsenal free. Have a little break, recharge our own batteries. Anyway, thanks for the chat. Thanks for listening. See you again on the other side. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app
And find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company.